Okay.
1132 Cleveland Hill
It's
Street.
fine.
Vincent he's coming in the door now.
Oh, good. Okay. It's 5 o'clock.
It being 5 o'clock, I call the select board's meeting to order. I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:32. A. At
Second.
5 o'clock.
p.m. Seconded by Baker. Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Okay, now the fun begins.
Yeah.
Look, you got a pen again. You all grown up.
I know, I stole one out front again.
Whatever, that was great. Whatever strategies you need.
I make a motion to come out of non-public at 5:30 p.m.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. The minutes are not sealed. We are now out of non-public at 5:30 p.m. Changes or additions to the agenda?
We are postponing Emily Verney's discussion on credits and exemptions. It rained, so her soccer game is tonight instead of whenever it was supposed to be.
Okay.
So moving on to tax rate setting. So after some discussion today with Keats, we are trying to figure out how much of the unassigned fund balance we want to be used to offset taxes. So right now, for 2022, the municipal tax rate, the municipal portion of the tax rate was $7.07 per thousand, right? Mm-hmm. And in 2023, without using any of the unassigned fund balance to offset taxes, we are at $7.61 per thousand, which doesn't sound all that bad of an increase, but everything else has gone up quite a bit. The county portion is up a little over 14%. The local school is up 3.17%. Maybe I can do it. And the state school portion, which is minimal, but it is still up 54.96%. And so what we came up with.
Can I just ask a quick question about that number? So is the school, is that local school rate including the 427,000 or whatever it was?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how they budget their capital. I don't know.
Because they made a recent decision, yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that was going to drop because that decision got made.
No,
Anyway.
this is the number they've reported to DRA. This is what they have to raise. Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
So, right now, without using any of the unassigned fund balance, the total tax rate is up $1.88 per thousand, which is a 7.91% increase. But the only portion we can really obviously control is the municipal. So,
Question.
as far yes,
2023, from 2022 to 2023, it went up about like 50 something cents, but the delta says 29 cents, so I don't quite understand that point 29.
I don't quite understand the term delta, to be honest.
Change.
Difference.
Oh,
Difference.
yeah, that
Increase.
should say
Because it didn't compute.
delta means change. Sorry.
It's a Latin thing.
Yeah, I don't know why that's
I should've studied
that's just a
Latin in high
flat out
school.
error. Thank you, Richard. Sorry about
54 cents.
that.
it's
Yeah,
54 cents.
29 cents is it's 7.29 is the end game, perhaps. If that's
So, to reduce the tax rate by 10 cents per thousand, we would use $40,250 of the unassigned fund balance. So, what what my recommendation will be. I've got a couple different recommendations, but what I'll start with, the starting balance of the unassigned fund balance is $2,483,754. $519,445 was already voted on at town meeting through warrant articles to be used out of the unassigned fund balance. So the ending balance would be $1,964,309. The estimated surplus to the unassigned fund balance, which is a conservative number, is $450,000.
I have a question about that.
Yep.
How did that
The
get?
estimated surplus?
Well, yeah, where'd the surplus, how did we do that?
So every year when you all appropriate a budget,
Yeah,
there's some amount that doesn't get spent.
right.
In the last 2 years, it's been up in the upwards of $800,000. It's been very high.
Yeah,
For lots of different reasons, COVID craziness being
Yeah.
the main driver of that sort of
And
surplus.
But this is
personnel,
just
you can't hire
accumulation.
police officers, so that money gets unspent.
So
stuff
this
like
So
year-
it's just accumulation of all different,
Of all the
All the
departments.
departments.
And
Yeah.
a big chunk of it came out of the highway department. So when we allocated money for the Scott Road Bridge, we still have 150 left over from that,
Okay.
thanks to Richard Roberts finding a good solution.
right.
So that was a big chunk of it.
Okay.
And then there's some from each department.
And when you say conservative, means it could be higher.
I actually, when I did it, it was more like 560,
Okay.
but I went down to 450 because there's things maybe somebody's going to encumber some of the money I don't know about. I think I
Okay.
know about it. May be more than that, but
We'll use 450.
So we're
as
sure
a-
of that amount.
pretty
Pretty
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
For now.
We'll
Yeah.
use that as a number for now. For
Yeah.
these purposes. So if we used $125,750 out of the unassigned fund balance, that would bring, I had this written out on my last page, our rate down to, give me a second. What was it, 40,000?
I think it would bring the 761
It would
down
bring
to
it
729.
It would bring it down, the tax rate down to 7.29, so $7.29 per thousand for the municipal portion. 729. Which would, the inflation is at using the 3.2% number for the inflation. If you use that going from $7.07, I believe that is why we went with 7.29.
I mean, that's
I mean, to bring us down to where kind of equal with last year as far as inflation goes.
What, so,
Obvious,
What do we end up with the total?
if you took 707, which is last year's,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
2023, no,
Ah,
2022
Two.
rate,
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah,
And you inflate it by 3.2%, you get
That's-
729.
yeah.
So that's in real terms.
yeah.
So, my question is, if we're producing a surplus each year,
well, we're already using 500. So our budget could be a little bit tighter. I think is that where you're headed with that?
well, I'm just wondering why we can't use more of the surplus.
Because we're already using $519,445 from the warrant articles already voted on. So really, we're going to be using, if we went with 125,750, we'd be using 640 something
or
thousand.
something, yeah.
Where does that leave us percentage
Well, that's
wise?
what
Leaves
my
us at about
next
18, 19, 18.
And they say
19.
15 to 19?
No, 5
No,
to 17.
5
Yeah.
to 17?
I think.
So we still could use a little more if we wanted to. It'd
You
still be
could
within
have
the range.
Yeah.
Although,
I mean, so if we use more this year, we're hoping to keep our budget as tight as possible. So we may not have that 450,000 going back into it next year. And who knows exactly what the number will be. Last year we used 700 because we had such a surplus. We had $800,000
We're at
surplus.
22%.
If you look back through the last, I think 6 or 7 years, there was only there was 2 years where we used 700,000, and in 2019 we used 700, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't on the board, but I'm pretty sure I remember the board saying that the reason they did that is because there was a mistake in the budget, and there was a number that should have been, say, like 400,000 or 500,000, and it was 50,000.
Like,
Oof.
So
those
they had
zeros are
to
important.
use they had to use that money to,
Oh.
save the budget.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is next year, the budget is not looking good.
Do we have some big
well,
CIP items?
Yeah,
probably?
24.
24 is going to be very high.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to maybe
Use more.
have a little bit more money there. We could potentially use a
Well,
few
we-
$100,000 next year.
What you could do is jump to talking about the budget so that you can kind of get a sense of where that's at. Which is,
I got it here somewhere.
It just seems like I don't know.
You're talking about the time to
I
start
mean,
cutting budget?
trust me,
125, 750 just doesn't sound like very much out of the
Yeah.
unassigned
which
fund
is,
balance.
which is good news.
Well, it's good, but it still makes.
We're still
We have a very
70%.
minimal increase this year.
Yeah.
If we use that, well, I say very minimal. We'll still have a pretty big increase because of the rest of the budgets. We can only affect the municipal.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, which I sat here for a half hour banging my head on the wall thinking, well, we could use more.
Yeah.
We
To
could
put
use
it-
it, and
yeah.
last year I was the opposite. I wanted to use less. This year, we could go to like 165, use another 40,000 to offset it another 10 cents. But next year we're probably going to be sitting here thinking, geez, it would be nice to have. I don't know.
I think we should look at the budget first.
Yeah,
And then
and
when
get
we
an
hit
idea.
the wall with the budget, then we come back to unassigned fund balance.
Yep.
And just as an
And we all
FYI,
show up to school meeting. Because 30 people go.
just as an
Oh, really?
FYI for last year, when you all chose to do the
And nobody says-
700,000, the tax rate still went up about $1.10 on the municipal side.
I know.
That's how
That huge
sort of,
time
so
to
this
budget.
is not a bad number. We worked hard, you all worked hard to get that budget down.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, but
It is.
next year it's gonna be even harder.
It's like a Christmas list. You just have to
Please
say
define
no.
that, but
Just have to say
I'm
no.
just saying,
Um,
it's interesting that we
Okay, so
spend.
So which sheet should we be looking at?
Says,
Time to start cutting the budget.
Time to start cutting the budget or budget cutting.
It's a horizontal, yeah, exactly.
So the current accumulated budget requests for 2024 are $5,495,393. Last year's appropriations were $5,427,085. Overstated due to grant. What is?
Was that the
so
breathing
basically the
apparatus?
real
Yeah.
number you should be looking
Oh, okay.
at as a comparative is that 5.7.
Okay,
Because
so-
there's a
Can we
grant
just
that-
cross off the rest of those two
Sure.
lines in the middle?
$5,074,171, not including the grant for $352,914. That's a pretty accurate number to compare to the 5.49 million. So change in budget increase is about 8.3%, $421,222. The projected, so the change in revenues.
So the other side of the calculus is that, your expenses are up and the revenues are down. So what happens is when you add together the increase in expenses and the loss of revenues, you get
Yeah.
a gap.
760.
$761,859.
What goes into the line miscellaneous reductions to be on the conservative side?
Oh,
What kinds of things are in that? That's not reductions we might make to the budget now, that's
no,
something
these are
else.
revenue side. So motor vehicle registrations come in 10,000 less, or
Oh, yeah.
just there's about 30 of those things, and so
Yeah, no.
again, that's to be on the safe side.
fewer
But
dogs.
some of those may be down. It's really hard to project.
Fewer dogs.
I'd like to have fewer dogs in my household right now, just to be clear. I'll still pay the
My
$7.
dog is still tired from his romp with your dog.
So that's, this is really
So 700,000 is what we're looking at.
next, for 2024. So this time
looking at
next
to
year.
chop away at.
Yeah, for next year.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking that we don't have a giant increase this year in our municipal budget. I mean, overall, if we went with the 125,750, our instead of increasing $1.88 per thousand on the total budget, we would be down to, what was it, 3.2. So it'd be 1.56, right?
So what?
No, 1.46, 1.56. $1.56 increase. Which on,
But I think there's room to cut some of next year's budget.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Now, if we can just come up with like 760,000.
Okay, so are we looking at you didn't give us a clean copy of the budget this week, which is fine, because we've got so many copies. Can we just still use the one from last week?
You're probably okay. It's actually, I have it in the printer. It was
October
printed.
26th, that's pretty,
Yeah, I don't think there's any major changes to it.
I mean,
it's
if
a
we're-
minor, but that's fine.
Okay, and we also need to look at police separately, the one he gave us, right?
That's right.
With his changes.
'Cause, yeah.
Those are in there.
Those are now,
When did he give us? They gave us those changes
2
not-
weeks ago?
It was
Yeah,
like an
those
hour
are in
before
your-
it came.
so this is updated.
Yeah, should be.
Okay.
So, are we gonna look at cuts to the budget?
Or finish the tax rate setting.
well, yeah, I guess they are separate issues.
Yeah,
They're
the tax
connected
rate.
Yeah.
through the unassigned fund balance,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just,
One's looking
the
back,
reason,
Right.
I don't think we should use more than, I really did earlier think, well, let's use another 40,000, which isn't really much. But it also really isn't much, and next year we might appreciate that 40,000 more than we do this year.
Well, I guess what Leanne was saying earlier is if we think we can come up with some good cuts in next year's budget, then we don't have to panic about the unassigned fund balance. Wasn't that your point of going to?
What I'm saying is, it makes sense to me to see what else we can move out of the equation first.
So that we're not, if we think we won't be looking for 700,000 next year, then.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you've got, 3 levers, right? You've got budget cuts, unassigned fund balance, and delaying some major capital thing. And I do want to point out, I sent you an email, you probably none of you had a chance to look at it, but recently this afternoon,
I saw that.
that there's an RSA that allows you to spread a capital purchase over 2 years. You can spread it over 3 or 4 if you want. So you could, in fact, the fire truck money, which was the $375, could indeed be put in a warrant that would fund, say 185 in year 1 and 185 in year 2.
Does anyone have the CIP
And so-
stuff printed off? Do that?
Oh, here, I have it in my book here. So Jim's concern about not being able to contract for the truck would be allayed by that.
Because once you voted it, it's voted.
Right.
And right now in
Yeah.
CIP 2025, I know it's a long
Thank you.
ways out,
Sorry.
didn't really look as bad as 2024. Obviously, there'll be more stuff come up.
2025 was lower.
So, that would, obviously, we'd just be kicking the can down the road in a sense, but that would help us take some burden off next year.
We
Okay.
could do the same with the loader in
187,500.
the highway department.
But the loader wouldn't be ordered, the loader would be bought next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the reason we can do it with the fire truck is because
Because it's 18 months delivery.
it's 18 months. Like, it takes so long
Because
to
it's
get
kind of
it.
custom.
Once they sign they have to have the money to be able to sign the contract, but it
Yeah.
takes, they don't have to have the money all next
Nice.
year because they're not.
But it doesn't work if you really want it next year.
Yeah, I don't think so, because they'd have to have the money to actually buy it
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. So you could do it with the fire truck.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know,
what that does, I just wrote on your CIP page,
That's
sorry.
okay.
So right now they have 375, but they have 152 for next year in the same line. So what that does, if we spread it over 2 years, that means it's
What's the 152 for? Do we know that?
still in their capital reserve because they start saving. They buy one and then they start saving for the next one. Like they've got a
Okay, but we could start saving for the next one a year later.
yeah.
Does highway have any large purchase in 2025? Are there, so this year we had the.
Road construction and paving, bridge capital reserve, and no. But
And
let's,
actually, the bridge capital
let's talk
reserve,
about the bridge capital reserve, right?
I think that could definitely, unless they come out and red flag some additional bridges.
I just heard from Rich Colker that they got the list and there were no red flags.
Ah.
Excellent.
So, there'll
That would help us
still
next
be money left in the bridge capital reserve, and we
Mhm.
could delay saving for that for a couple of years probably. Or,
Yeah.
or save smaller amounts,
Yeah.
so that you're keeping
We
up
do
with it.
50,000 rather
Yeah,
than,
250 or
250.
whatever.
And then if we don't get one that's,
Next year's budget
Well,
does
the storms.
assume the use of 250 for the Mountain Road Bridge.
okay.
Just FYI, from the capital reserve.
It does or does,
It does,
yeah.
And
So 250.
250.
as far as the highway department, for the road reconstruction and paving, I think it's at 300. Last year, it was at 300 to start. He cut it to 250 to get his 5% that
And
we
we're at
asked him to cut.
223 used right now.
I'm wondering, and I don't know how Richard would, but if we could cut it maybe to 275 so that we don't.
I go down to 250.
250.
Right now, actual use is at 223, and the construction price index is actually negative. So
Okay.
there's no reason to think there's a lot of inflation anymore
Well,
right
it-
there. But
Yeah.
When I talked to Richard about was he in the office? I thought somebody else was there. We were talking about the bridge capital reserve, and I swear I'm not misremembering this. I think he was even saying for a couple of years we can cut it down to 50 instead of 200.
Yeah. I'm talking about this year though, like as far as the road reconstruction.
you're talking budget, not
Yeah.
not.
Oh, you're not talking about the
CIP.
CIP, okay. Well, I think the road reconstruction is different.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'm saying it's a different kind of scenario than the bridge scenario. Right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's just for more maintenance, I'll say. Not maintenance, bigger maintenance projects. I mean, I guess bridges are technically maintenance projects, but yeah.
I wasn't here for Richard's presentation or going over his budget, so there were a couple of line items that sort of stood out for me. Some of the bigger ones, like is equipment rental 90,000. Does
That includes the hired trucks, because I questioned that too. I was
for
thinking,
snow
geez,
plowing.
how do you spend $90,000 at Coleman Rental?
yeah?
But he also, so all the hired trucks for plowing,
Oh, I see. The
pickups, and
subcontractors.
Yeah.
Yep,
The subcontractors. Okay.
which is a big portion of it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because I was like, wow,
Yeah.
we should start buying more equipment if we're renting that much. But obviously, anyway. So I don't know. I mean, that's also something. Should we ask? I know last year we did we asked all department heads to cut 5%. My issue with doing the same exact thing this year is that each department increased a different percent, which is obviously why would it all be the same? I mean, each
Yeah.
department is experiencing different things, but they all. My feeling is a lot of the department heads assumed that we were going to do the same
Yeah.
Yeah.
5%.
So they bumped everything up.
So they bumped everything up.
Or 10%.
But if one department goes up 15% and one goes up 5%,
Yeah.
why should we ask both departments to cut 5%?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Maybe
then-
I'm wrong in saying that. I mean, like I said, each department is a completely different scenario, and then you could
Everyone
also.
could have hedged their bets differently.
and
Yeah.
police just cut 19 from his original budget
Well, yeah,
too.
but if
so
I
I'm
start
just
with
saying that-
60% increase and then come in and
Yeah.
cut 59 of it, you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, geez, you did a great job." I mean,
Yeah.
so you could argue that point too. I mean,
One
he went,
option, rather than asking them to cut a certain percentage, is say you can grow by 1.23%. But the question, or 3% or whatever percentage,
or even 5.
or even
I
5.
mean,
But the question is that over appropriation or over actuals,
Right.
which are very different numbers.
Yeah.
And actuals would seem to me to be a pretty good indicator of
But-
need.
if we do it off of actuals,
Yeah.
and not that we should be overtaxing people and putting them into the unassigned fund balance, but if we do it off of actuals, there like if you had a really tight budget,
It'll
there'd
be
be
a
no
tight
money.
budget, right, there's
going
no,
into
there's
the-
no play.
So
Right, those are all the different challenges, yeah.
But if one person's budget's caked up more than the others already to begin with, then it's tough
Right.
because each budget is different, so it's hard to ask each person to do
Yeah,
Same.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you ask one person to cut 10%, the next person to cut 3%, then that also probably causes issues too.
so if you step away from the cut notion and add what the growth should be,
Yeah, sounds better.
I look at 3% growth with all budgets. I would definitely go for that. I don't know how the department heads would feel about it,
But if we see specific line items, we could tell the department heads, hey, we're thinking of cutting this. Like, on the highway department, we could say road reconstruction, cut 50,000, equipment rental, cut 10,000. We could A, just do it, or we could B, say, we're thinking of doing it, and he could always come back and make another case. But if he ends up short, he's got money in other departments, he can move it around.
And the other thing that can happen too is I'm not saying it will, but when it comes down to town meeting, even if we cut 200,000 out of a specific budget,
Yeah.
and then the department head gets up at town meeting and makes a big case and a big speech about, we need this money, this and that, the town can still,
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
which is
If
what the
peop-
town wants to do.
And if
I'm
people
not-
want to spend their taxes on that, then they
Yeah.
knock
At
yourself
least,
out.
at least we'd be on record.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
I'm okay with.
Because I'd be comfortable making these two recommendations right now. Road reconstruction, cut 50,000, equipment rental, cut 10,000.
all right.
Because those are two big items. It was a 20% increase and a 13% increase. Go back to what it was. Because I do think we need to focus from the big departments and work our way down. At a certain point, it's almost not worth dealing with the little departments.
Yeah, as long as they don't have like a 30% increase or something.
Yeah.
What's
What
the
I
row
found
number you're looking at?
interesting as a,
What's the row number on the sheet you're looking at?
4312.20-750, road reconstruction. On the spreadsheet, it's row 505.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
So what are you saying, cut that to
Road reconstruction,
250,000?
go to 250, and a few rows up, equipment rental, go back to what was last year,
So
80,000.
how come on the CIP sheet, how come that road reconstruction is under CIP and in his budget?
I don't know why they put it in CIP, but they
Is it
also
the same
put our
number?
assessing cost in there.
But I'm just saying, isn't
I
that
assume it's not.
separate line item number
No.
totaled up?
No,
Okay,
Is it a different
because
amount?
I know that it's being repeated,
So
so
you-
I don't double it up.
okay.
Ah.
But the rest of the capital,
Well, for example, for some reason the CIP has assessing costs at 25,000 a year. Those are also in my budget, but I don't put them down in the CIP line, capital improvement budget. One just sort of, to me, interesting data point is, in 2019, the budget was 3.8 million. If you thought that perhaps it was a 20% inflation from 19 to say 23 present, that will put us at 4.5 million. Now we have added a position, say, of Rick, so let's go up to 4.6. And there's probably some other things that have been added that I'm not thinking off the top of my head. But for us to be at 5.4 seems like a big leap.
Yeah.
And I just, I haven't had the time to do the analysis of how each department has blossomed, let's say, and the town looks great, it's in great shape, so yay for that.
And I
So
wonder
I'm
if
not
certain
saying-
things like health insurance, has that gone up
Well,
more
just
than
this
inflation?
year is 15.6%.
So that's outgrowing inflation. So.
Right. It would require more analysis to really understand what has tipped us up so
I wonder
high.
what are, the number of employees gone up substantially
Don't know,
in the 5, yeah.
yeah.
I don't think so. We've just added maintenance. The
Added
highway
maintenance.
department stayed the same.
We lost a police officer or two, so.
I don't know what it
well,
was in 19, but
in
yeah.
19. You're
And
right.
then the transfer station has always had
3.
Glenn and 2 people, right?
Yeah.
The office has, I guess, well, who knows? Gone up and down so
Yeah, it's
much.
been,
Yeah,
it's,
Kim's office has been steady.
well, we added.
so I think
director.
maintenance,
Yeah.
or rec director was in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
The only thing for sure was a maintenance person.
Yeah. It's not like we've added 5 employees or something.
No, I know, because that would be the expensive part, employees.
Can we start just looking at the CIP numbers and start subtracting some things out to see where we are?
It's good with me.
Like if we cut the fire
Those are
department, if we
big
cut the
numbers.
375 in half to spread it over 2 years,
But-
that means we subtract 188,000 off the
Can
bottom
we,
line.
Can the select board, isn't the fire boards in charge of the fire department's budget, or is this just recommended by the select board?
It's recommended.
This is our recommendation.
Okay.
And when we talked with Rich and Jim last week, they seemed, you know, they were just concerned about being able to sign the contract because there's such a long lead time to build these things. But that RSA it gives them what they need to enter into the agreement.
So-
So if we take 188,000 right off the bat, right there.
187,500 bucks.
I know, I'm rounding up. So if we cut that off, what's the capital reserve on the bridge? It says 250 here, but that's not the real number. What's the real number?
I thought that was the real number.
I thought we were down to one something or other that we.
Because of the savings on the Scott Bridge?
Yeah, I thought
that's going in the
I
unassigned
thought that
fund
he
balance.
got the. No, I know that, but I thought that he got the quote, and that it was still going to be like 100. You know, it was going to be a lot less than 250.
Do you know what
I don't know if that's
What are you talking about?
Mountain Road Bridge, is that 250?
It's 250 and we're covering it with money from the capital reserve, so that's a wash. There's money to pay for that.
Because we were
So
gonna
that's
have,
so
we were
that's
gonna
washed
put,
out in the
In the budget.
income.
Yep.
what was gonna happen though is we were gonna put 250 in both the bridge capital reserve and Mountain Road, right, at one point originally, and then we took out.
Is
There
that,
and
what's
just
in
put
the
it
CIP?
CIP's got 250 in it still.
To add to a capital reserve?
Yes.
So you all, that's a recommendation and
Yeah.
you all can
We already
decide not
have
to do
250.
that.
We already have enough in there to do the.
There's
Mountain.
355 in there right now in the capital reserve.
Well,
So
we can
I
cut that
reached out
to-
to Bob Seston and said, can we use this for the bridge? He goes, that's the point of it, so.
So we could
cut it
zero
to-
that out for
Or we
1
could
year?
cut it to 50 or something, but
Yeah.
yeah, we could zero it or cut it to.
you know,
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even, but there's nothing in the budget. We didn't put money for the bridge capital reserve in this budget, so
Oh.
we already,
So with
Okay.
Yeah, bridge repair is 0.
Okay.
So there's no savings.
So this doesn't sync with that, is what you're saying, because you've already picked and
Yeah.
chosen from this and put it
Yeah.
in.
yeah.
Oh well, that's
So the things that are in there
okay.
are,
Fire.
the fire truck and the articulating loader. Let me get the budget.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, the loader is a big one.
So we could lose 188 from the fire. That's a step.
40,000 for a new compactor. Library improvements, it's a little over 50,000.
Anybody want a budget?
This is from last,
That's got one.
last
Okay,
meeting?
good.
Oh, good.
That's fine.
So fire's the big one, and then it's the loader.
Yep.
So then, and my understanding is the loader
We don't have any,
that
Have to do it.
the loaders. We can't
Yeah, I
put
mean-
that off, right?
Hey, we've put it off for
A long time.
a couple of years now. I think.
yeah.
So
Amazing.
we have the actuals
There's,
on road reconstruction. Is it really? That's the up to date for September, even with the washouts?
the actuals on road reconstruction, I can tell you what that is. That's where the actuals for 20 might be a little different in yours.
We've got 226.
Where's my road? It is, yeah, it's the same. Yeah, I mean, that's through the end of October.
So the question I have about this, Richard, bringing up dropping that by 50,000, because of that big storm and then the subsequent exacerbation, a lot of that money went to just those projects, and the FEMA reimbursement, if it comes,
It
is
won't come, we won't get it, the state didn't qualify.
We didn't get enough.
We didn't reach the threshold.
okay. So, well, there's that. So I just wonder, what, and this would be a question. So we could pose it saying, we want you to drop that line by 50. If there were significant projects you couldn't do this year because you spent all that money on this, then that's what we need to know. Because otherwise we want you to do that, cut this by 50. Especially
Because think about it, they had more work than usual, and they're still not gonna
There's still
spend everything they had,
226.
so they have too much.
Well, but I'm just saying his response to that, when I was talking to him about it, is that they didn't get into big projects that they wanted to because they didn't have the money to because they spent it elsewhere. So it might be 9% left over because they couldn't start a project because there wasn't enough left over to start,
understand.
start it.
But my point is, they're still real busy doing stuff. Did the stuff they do cost less than the stuff they would rather have done? I don't know. If it's just mostly,
Well, yeah, it
Is
is,
that
because if
close
you go
to
buy
most-
10 loads of gravel to put on a road, or you just go scrape the road with a grader,
'Cause-
obviously it's going to be cheaper than buying the 10 loads of gravel and scraping the
so
load
there's
with
no
a grader.
there's no people in here. This is material.
Materials and
And
It's both?
No, people's up above.
Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah,
So if you're buying a lot of culverts and stuff, yeah, that would be more. Yeah. But it's certainly worth.
no, I'm not saying it's not
It's
worth
our
the
biggest
conversation.
department, so we need to find some ways.
I mean, if you
We
don't,
need
there'll
to-
be a huge tax increase next year, so. I mean, cut from somewhere, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll
So-
say it, the roads are best here. These are the best roads in any town I've lived in. I've lived in a lot of places, so I think the roads are great. But they also cost a lot of money.
Okay, well, let's just pencil in taking 50,000 out of that. I think the tricky one is the police department. Because I mean, I think Dana's logic is sound that you have to plan for whatever, but if we use the data that there just aren't police officers available, if he had some real promising leads right now,
Yeah.
but not for lack of trying, and by all counts, like all departments at every level of law enforcement in the state are up
And around the
against,
country.
and around the country.
It's like
not
finding
people.
swimming instructors. They just aren't out there.
Yeah,
So I think the budget was 4 staff. He cut it to 3.5. I think we need to cut it to 3. Get rid of that half a person.
So you could have 2 half people, assuming you would hire them in mid-July. The question is, are you cutting a position or 2 half positions? Because in 2025, then you're gonna have the 2 full-time positions. If a miracle happens and you hire both of them.
however that works, I mean, Sergeant Purley, who seems to be doing an excellent job
She's
for us,
awesome.
is part-time.
Yep.
So,
Right, but that's separate from the 2 other positions.
right. So I'm saying, so one of them is we have a half-time position added in. We have a
So,
full-time.
There's 2 full-times, one starts in July,
Yep,
and then you have a full-time that's January to December.
right.
So, are you cutting? It only matters for 2025, really. But are you? So if you take the full-time position and say he's not going to find anybody until June,
Right.
well then, those first 6 months of the year you can save that half amount,
Yeah, oh, I see what you're saying.
right?
I guess I would have asked the department head, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. Would it be better if we do it this other way? He's not going to be happy no matter what.
Right.
Right. And then in 2025, you're either left with 2 full-time. I mean, that'd be a great problem to have, but
Yeah.
you're going to have a higher budget.
What's...
If you can find a full-time person.
Right.
So what of that $186,889 under the full-time line, like how does that break down to the 3 positions?
So you've moved on to police.
Yeah.
You're out of highway? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to
it's
stay in highway?
truly-
I didn't see anything else in highway.
There was equipment rental. I said take 10,000
Oh, sorry,
out of
sorry.
equipment rental. It was 80 last year. They went up to 90. I'm saying go back to 80.
Okay, so 10 out of equipment rental?
And what's the library solar and painting for 53,000? What's the criticality on that?
They're getting grants for that.
Okay.
I just threw it away, I think.
The solar, yeah,
I
so,
think she presented that it's grant
Okay.
contingent.
so that would go away if they didn't get the money.
Yep.
Right. So
The-
could we just say another 10 minus
The
10?
other CIP thing, or I don't know which direction you wanna go in, but there is the 40,000 for the compactor,
Yeah.
and, why did I think there was extra money? Oh, never mind.
Oh, is the,
Yeah, that's the T-SIC money, but
Right.
that's,
I'm thinking we're gonna need it for Sanborn Head.
okay,
We could.
then just leave it.
Yeah, we could say Sanborn Head, cut them loose, tell them we're done before the contract's over and spend the money on a contract.
Solar and paint.
But now we don't have a
Grants.
design of something to build, you know?
Right.
Okay.
And they're just kinda stalling because we said we're not sure what we're doing right now.
Okay.
How bad, does anybody really know how bad the compactor is? You never know till it fails. I'm sure it's held together with
Yeah.
paper clips at this point.
They've done a bunch of repairs on it over the years.
Yeah.
It's working fine, but it's not, the ram's not pushing as hard as it used to, can't compact as tightly as it used to.
And I assume that's the kind of thing that if we build a new building, it's fairly easy to move it into
Yes.
a new building. Yeah.
We're at 248,000 right now.
Negative 60 from road, 180.
188 from fire. Fire sec, the CFP.
Or 87.5.
Come on now.
We've got 188 this year, and then after an extra 5
So
this
Ben-
next year.
With the half position at the police department, or half a year,
Yeah.
I know, I'm just trying to figure out, because the full-time line is,
Is 2.5.
and they're all,
2.5 people. It's one person for half a year and 2 people full-time.
yeah.
so let me do this. 186, 89 minus,
Where is
so,
it?
divided by,
Well, you can divide by 5.
no.
Oh.
I already took out Dana's
Oh.
salary, so times, what did we say? One's full-time and one's half
Mm-hmm.
the year?
Yeah.
So it'd be 60-40? What's the percentage splitting one number?
Well, I looked for a common denominator, so that's 3 half years. Right?
3, okay. Divided by 3, good.
Getting all busy with the math there.
36,712. 36,712. That was good. Can we round that up or down?
Always round up, I guess.
40.
37,000.
37.
37.
And there's a whole bunch of other things that go along with the salaries, the FICA, the health insurance, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
So
so,
it's
it'll be-
always a
it'll be
much
40.
bigger number.
Yeah.
okay.
It's another
Yeah,
40%.
Wait, but that doesn't, it's gonna be a lot more than that with benefits.
Yeah.
More than 40.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good, because
So let's look at, so minus 30, what did I say?
36.
37, rolled it up. So, FICA I'm not gonna mess with, that's tiny.
No.
And then where's the? Where
You know, I'm not even
is-
sure if police pay FICA. I know.
Yeah, it's,
The chief
it's,
does.
it is, it's, but where's the benefits line?
for police,
Probably be the health insurance.
Oh, health insurance, sorry, yeah. So do you know how that works?
well, you have to budget it for, full family,
What's a full family cost?
30,000.
And so if it,
So,
do you get health care in the first 6 months?
yeah,
I'm sure you get it from day one.
well,
No,
yeah, you get it, no, I think you get it from day one, in, dental, I think is
the one that
6
kicks
months,
in?
yeah.
Okay, so 30,000 for half a year, so we're talking $15,000 to take out of the benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Holy smokes. What did I just say, 15?
Yeah.
And then retirement, not sure, it's a percentage, I think it's like 34%. So there's some amount, which I can figure out, but assume it's another 15 or 10 or 15 or 10.
10 for a full year?
Half. It's like 30% of the salary, so in that range.
Well, the salary's 37,000.
That was for half a year.
Did he
Oh,
cut that already for Sergeant Burley going to part-time?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, we're at 310,000.
Cut or needing to cut?
Cut.
Okay.
I wasn't here for Dana, but why are we up $10,000 on overtime?
because he's understaffed.
Because there's, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
This was
continue.
his updated thing that's been inputted in there, but you can see that
Oh,
he's
okay.
got the notes on it.
Oh, nice.
I
Okay.
was trying to remember why the administrative assistant went up in hours. They got more paperwork to do these days?
I think it's because they're understaffed and she's filling in gaps.
Yeah.
She's probably doing some paperwork that he
Yeah.
used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she can add her hours as she declines over in Marlboro. There's like constraints because of retirement stuff. Anyway, it's a good thing.
She's certainly good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there will be more that comes out of all of that because of FICA and uniforms and whatever else, but it will be.
Yeah, if we can get the,
When we're, was the decision to make it one position or half of the second position?
I don't think we did decide.
We just took out the half,
out the money.
Let
half
him
year.
let him decide?
And say, hey, which is better
Yeah.
for you?
Okay, and then 2025,
yeah.
whatever. Okay.
Well, yeah. I know a woman who just was considering taking a signing bonus of $50,000 to be a state trooper in Anchorage.
Wow.
$50,000.
Not sure that would be
Anchorage is
enough to get me to go.
If I were
Oh,
young.
good.
I'd be outside of Anchorage, inside of Anchorage, it's great.
Well, Anchorage isn't
But
bad.
Anchorage is like a step, and then you're outside. There's
Yeah,
grizzly bears
that's
in
right,
Anchorage.
just outside the borders, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Should we leave the police alone for a minute? What was the other big one?
Where else
Fire.
can we go?
Fire would be next.
So overall, fire
Pages.
is up 10%, operating budget.
Pages. But isn't that because of the change in the funding for the call out?
That's some of it. That's only 7,000. That's 8% increase in that line.
Wait, how come I can't find the fire?
It's on page 8.
8, 9.
Oh,
Well, 8 and 9.
Yeah, line number 450.
not even close.
They've got a lot of lines, so this may be one of the situations where we could say to a department, hey, cut $10,000, find a way to do it. Instead of us finding, because there's a lot of medium-sized lines here. And it's even small lines that
There are
just
a lot of
happen to
small
add up
lines,
to,
yeah.
our second biggest department.
390.
Yeah, he's got vehicle repair and maintenance. The actual was 16. They had budgeted 27 and they spent 16, and this year's 30.
Part-time firefighters. I mean,
So,
You could take 5,000 out of that, my feeling.
Yeah.
the 100,000?
No, the vehicle.
The repair and maintenance, I mean, I don't know whether he's got something in mind.
Yeah, and you don't know if something's already being done right now, and maybe that's going to cost
Yeah,
10 grand. But
Yeah.
maybe we could consider crossing 5,000 out of there. I know it's not a huge.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I know that there was a big cost increase from going from volunteer to paid,
Yeah.
but we've gone from 2021 was 42, 2022 is 53. Actuals in 2023 are 61,
Now we're at 100.
But remember his rationale was, it was already at 61,000 and it's been raining for 8 straight months.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
it's one of those things, he said, it might be raining for 8 straight months next hot season, but it might not. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
reminding us of what he said,
Yeah.
his justification, and we talked about firefighting hours and, I mean, not firefighting,
Maybe there's a little room
forest
for
fight,
cut there.
forest
Yeah.
fire hours.
Yeah.
You have to take five
Ten-
What
or
about
10 grand out of
5,000 out of
that.
that?
I would take
Of which
Out
one?
of part-time firefighters.
Or 10,000?
Yeah.
take
Cut
it
it to
to
80.
nine.
What was it last year? 50 something? And he actually used
61.
61?
It was-
61 was the actual.
No, but that's
Yeah,
the one
so
that he
cut
was,
it to 80.
that's the one he was talking about. I mean,
Right. So
Well, and the other thing is, I mean, I'm not, obviously it's his department, but there's times when you could probably don't have to have a part-time, there's been part-time help on stuff that maybe, I'm not saying calls, but like around the station doing stuff,
Mm.
that if you were close on your budget, I would think you maybe
not have that done.
wouldn't do that.
So what are you saying that should be minus 20?
Minus
No,
10.
10. So, because
Bring it down
Make
to
it
90?
90.
Wait,
Yeah.
was it at 100?
2020, yeah, 2023 was 93
budgeted.
and he spent 61.
With the 8 months of rain.
So, yeah.
So yeah, it's at
Right.
90.
Yeah.
Okay. So taking 10 out of that. So we are now at, losing space, 325. What's our goal?
760 something.
Well, 325 is a pretty decent
You're
start.
halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna get all the way to 760. I'm not sure.
Not by cutting.
Not by cutting.
I don't have my.
But
We
don't
had-
forget, a big part of that is the moving of the machine. So,
Moving of
Is
the
the
machine.
what?
sorry, the fire truck, splitting the fire
Yeah.
truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's that piece of paper that says what the number is? It's the budget one. Oh yeah. It's 761.
Well, here's the thought about the compactor.
Mm-hmm.
We have $50,000 in, if the thing breaks and stops working, we have the contingency fund for equipment.
Could we use?
Just jump in and buy it out of that.
Could we use 25 out of the contingency and then? The contingency is.
That was in last year's warrant
That we
article.
never use. That just stays until we use it.
Until we need
We
it.
never have to replenish it until we
Expendable,
spend
isn't
it.
it? Yeah.
Expendable trust fund.
Oh,
So
We have those $350,000
but
ones.
we'd have to replenish it anyway if the next
Yeah.
year.
yeah, next year, then you right.
But if we're putting that in there, if it could go for another
Does
year,
the-
but we're worried about it breaking.
What if we took half the compact? What if we put half the compactor in a like CIP, like we do the bridge or something like that?
Well, certainly it
Budget
seems
budget
to
for half of it, and then
Mm-hmm.
the other half next year, and get the try to get
and
through
buy
another
it
year.
in 2025.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then worst case, we'd have 25,
Right.
and then if it blew up, we could use
That's smart.
the rest of it.
Yep.
Or
So,
half of it would be 20.
I don't know
right?
why
So
it's
50.
not in the CIP.
I think it came up after the CAP process, that's my impression.
okay.
So
Maybe somebody forgot to ask Glenn, hey, do you have anything for the CAP? I don't even know how that works.
I bet Kathy, yeah, you know, who knows? I bet she's asked everybody.
Because I feel that money's, the taxpayers have paid for that, it's just sitting there.
Yeah, maybe we just raise, because
Just use
we
it.
regardless we'd be doing it in 2025.
Yeah.
The other half, whether it was going back into the
Mm.
contingency or it was going back into.
So that would save us 15 because we have 40 in the trash compactor line.
So we'd take out 20.
So,
I take half.
oh, do 20, okay.
I do
Yeah.
all of it, but if you want to do half, that's fine.
I would do.
Half and half.
So wait, if we do that though, you have to have a special warrant, the same way the fire department does.
No, because we're not going to be buying it.
Oh.
Right, but if you're gonna save the money, you need to put it in a capital reserve then. You have to create a capital
We'd
reserve,
have to have a capital reserve.
I believe.
Okay. Which is
So-
true, just like we do the bridges and.
So what are
Which
you
will,
up to now?
you know, the people
Yeah.
who
Hang on a
believe that
second.
capital reserve is not a good way
Yes.
to go, will roll their eyes, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
They're going to have to roll their eyes.
Maybe a little will be.
Yeah, I mean, you could
Bob
do
Seston as well.
the same tactic
20.
as the capital warrant article, the multi-year warrant article, or you can do a capital reserve, whichever.
Oh, if we did but no, we wouldn't have the money up front. Same thing with the loader. Because if we wanted the,
245.
Oh, yeah, well,
Is
no,
this
because you're gonna buy it in
recommendation-
2025, the loader you're buying next year.
24.
yeah,
Down at the
Okay.
bottom of the page,
What'd you say?
could do a multi-year warrant article.
this formula down at the bottom of the page.
We also have to be careful too how much stuff we kick off to
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
Because more stuff is
Yeah,
going
we're
to come down
close,
the
we're
road
at
for
345.
2025. But maybe we have to learn our lesson the hard
Purchases
way.
for 200.
Well,
And we've
I
got,
also think we should look at the
Or is
CIP
that what
a
we just
little
did?
more carefully.
I think that's what we just
Maybe not
did.
tonight, but.
yeah. But the
Because
CIP,
this-
when I
because you
it-
said, you know, if we can cut 400 and defer purchases for 200.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
So you did the deferral,
Oh,
it
yeah.
all adds up, what's the total, that's 600, so.
Yeah.
we're at 345 right now, so you want two categories then, defer 188 for fire, defer 20 for trash compactor, right?
Mm-hmm, sure.
And then cut 50, 50 was
is there,
bridges,
I don't know if there's much
Road construction.
road
no,
construction.
10 was road construction.
No,
No,
10
50
was-
was road construction.
10 was
50?
equipment rental, 50 was
Okay.
road construction.
10 was equipment rental. 37 was fire, police.
Salary.
Police was basically
Salary.
55, 65, it's about 70.
Yeah, but I had it broken down by line items, so. Health, police. 10 was retire police. What was
And police
the,
is not getting a new vehicle, right?
no.
No,
What was the 5,000, Richard? Vehicle repairs for fire?
Let me look up fire. I think it was 5 or 10.
It was
I don't
5 for
think-
that, and then it was 10, your other one was 10 for the part-time.
Yeah.
So-
Is there anything else in Glenn's budget we can do anything with it? I don't, his budget's pretty tight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
all
don't
just
think-
hauling stuff mostly.
Yeah, I don't think Glenn has much.
Unless they want
he
stuff
doesn't.
to pile up.
Is there
rec,
Rec.
He
That's way out of control.
how much
We
did
love
Rick's
rec.
budget increase?
Bruce?
Rick's
Maintenance, don't know.
maintenance.
oh, I can tell you, hang on, government buildings. The thing about government buildings is we moved stuff from other
Yeah.
departments into that.
Yeah.
So that he was, had more control over the building stuff. Where's government buildings?
Okay, so that's still,
Why can I never find anything?
well, we could take a pay cut
Mm-hmm.
from our big salary.
When that up.
Yeah.
Or are we just talking about getting raises?
Now we're getting cuts.
We can cut everybody else's budget. I'm not cutting my pay. Take that
That's
one.
not how government works.
Okay, that has now just been
Government
officially
buildings are down
recorded.
5%.
Oh, government buildings are down 5.
No.
That's what the roll-up is.
Hang on, what page is it?
I don't know the page. It's line
Here it
five,
is, I got
56.
it.
I have on 7, but that's,
It's 6 and 7, yeah. Why would it be down 5%? What did we take out of there?
town office, HVAC maintenance.
Town office building maintenance.
Reambulation.
Generator's way down. That was a relatively big number, but still.
I think a number of things maybe were moved out.
No, more was moved
More
in.
were moved in.
Yeah.
Because in my version, there's a bunch of crossouts. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's just consolidating lines.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so here's one thing. Oh, are we going in order? Sorry.
What are we doing?
I just was looking at the tax collector line. For the full-time position, so this is line. It's on page 5, and it's the full-time tax clerk full-time line. So I talked to Kim about this. So she put in for the deputy tax collector to be a full-time position going forward, but she's not hiring that person until April 1st. So that's X months that she's gonna need to transfer some of those hours into her part-time line, but there's a big chunk of savings there.
3 months.
25% of that
25% of the year.
position. Okay, I can tell you, hang on. I can give it
So
a-
it's 4220,
You doing it? No,
Yeah.
I'm doing it. Okay.
20, 42,200, sorry. Hans, what did you say, 20%? 25%. So 10,550, some of that is gonna have to go into a part-time line though.
Well, she has 4,000 in the part-time line.
Yeah, so I wonder if we can take 5 out of that. So right now, if that position is 3 hours a day, 6, what is it 15 hours a week?
I think it's 24.
No,
Okay, well,
I don't think it's not 24 hours yet. Maybe it's because Libby's still here.
I don't know what her plan is.
She's working from Hillary's working from 1 to 4,
Okay,
4 days a week,
okay.
right? So 12 hours?
4 times 4 would be 16. No, 3 times 4.
3
Jeez.
times.
That was
But I don't know what the plan is for January 1st. Is it the same? We could go ask her.
She's still
It's
here?
right there.
I think so.
Oh yeah, let's go ask her.
Should I get it?
That'd be great, thank you. I mean, even if we can take 5,000 out of it.
I think that we should bring all department heads in at one time and have the same discussion.
I think
At
that's
the
a
same
great
time.
idea.
Yeah, at the same time. We could
Why
all
not?
do one big budget party.
Or just get gloves.
Boxing gloves.
Kim's gonna win.
Have fun.
Gladiators.
We can't defer the voting machine, right?
No.
That's good.
No.
Oh,
And if we want to hand count,
what did she say about the voting machine last week? That we don't have to have it until 2025. We can go all 2024 with it. We got questions for you.
Sure. About the budget.
Sure. We're just cutting dimes in half right now. First thing about the deputy position,
Yeah,
you're not starting that full-time until after town meeting.
right.
But it's budgeted, it's in your budget for full-time right now.
Yep.
So that means theoretically a quarter of the year.
January, February, March.
Yep, but I
That-
need more money back in my part-time line if I'm gonna not start full-time.
More than
until
Yeah.
March.
more
Yeah.
than it's already there.
Yeah,
So right, because you got 4,000 in the part-time line, but you had said that
Right.
was for emergencies,
It was-
fill-ins, whatever else. We
yeah,
need
or
extra hands.
to get Libby through after, to see where we are election-wise and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, till April or March, April, May, June, whatever is needed.
So if the deputy full-time salary is what was it, 42? 4220, is that what I said?
42.2.
Well, it's 22.
No, it's, the split is 75 and 40, is that what the other, whatever,
Yeah, that would be
Oh,
equal
'cause-
115.
yeah.
It would be what?
75 and then myself and then 40 for the full-time position.
Okay. So then, if we're talking about $10,000 would be 3 months, you're gonna need some of that. How many weeks is that position still gonna go? What she's doing now?
It's,
January,
well-
February, March?
Libby would stay until after the elections.
Yeah,
April 1st, I think we used.
yeah.
We actually is March 13th, but we can change that.
Yeah. Well, I think we were just using April 1st for the date for a cutoff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so January, February, March would be 3 months that we wouldn't have the full-time position.
But will Hillary's hours stay the same that she's doing now, like the 1
I
to
would-
4 kind of thing?
I would say
4 days a week?
training-wise,
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
through that period, because I have, delinquency notices and things that, on the tax collector's side as well. And just the general overall business with the presidential primary and her learning elections and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
current deputy learning of that, I should say, sorry, yep.
So if the full-time position, if she were full-time for that time, she'd be making $10,000 in that period. And full-time would be 40 hours a week, and now she's working 12 hours a week?
For 16 hours.
16 hours?
Yeah, I've been out the last couple days.
Okay.
Usually it's 4 hours, Tuesday through Friday a day.
Okay,
Yeah.
We could say 20 for budgeting purposes, so
so,
we don't try to cut everything out of it.
so if we, looks like if we took $5,000 out of that full-time salary line, that still leaves you plenty, it leaves your 4,000 alone that's already in there, and it leaves you money to pay the deputy part-time through January, February, March at the same pace she's going now.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not sure that, how much up to speed we'll be by then with the training. And Libby is, or the assistant is willing
Yeah.
to stay, if needed. Probably June 1st would be, or the collection period, June, if we needed for tax collection
Yeah.
time for the July bill.
So you're saying
But
that you
I was-
might need, so Libby, she might hang on longer depending on how training goes.
Right.
Yeah,
As well as my situation and how often I may or may have to take days off.
days off, yeah.
Do you think there's anything you could cut there?
Salary, no.
It
I
sounds
mean,
like,
wages, salary, I don't think so. I thought we were just talking about moving money from the full-time line to cover the part-time line
Yeah,
in
no.
regards to doing.
No, she's
no, we were
looking to
talking
make a
about
cut.
cutting some of it
Okay.
since it's budgeted at full-time, but it sounds like you're gonna need, you might need Libby
I need
more.
to cover the 2 part-timers
Yeah.
still like I'm doing.
Yeah,
But I didn't know if you wanted to allocate it to the part-time line at this
No, I
point
mean,
or
that
not.
does,
No, we
no,
don't care.
trying to
Okay.
cut.
I was just looking at what else.
and the
In
other thing,
here.
you had said something that you had heard from the state about the voting machine, that we could use it all through 2024?
As far as I know, it's still approved through 2024.
Yep,
March 1st is when the new machines, I believe, would be authorized if towns were looking to purchase them to
Yeah.
use after March 1st.
of 2024.
Yes. I guess I don't know that we have a need to do that. Our machine is still functionable.
Yeah,
If it still meets for the rest of the year, those qualifications, I don't think Chris, the moderator, would have a, preference
to get through
to
one
get
more.
through one more, yeah, to have a
cycle.
new machine, I mean. I
Yeah.
think as long as it's still doable and the state says we still can use it, we could wait on that purchase, I guess, and put it till next year, I'm not sure.
Okay,
That's a thought.
yeah,
How much is that?
7,000,
And that is in,
that's in my equipment line,
Equipment?
yeah.
why am I not seeing equipment?
Oh.
242 is the line.
242, thank you.
okay, well, this is all just
Yeah, no,
tentative right now, we won't
Yeah.
touch the salaries. I'm gonna put the voting, we've got a defer line, because
Yeah.
we're putting some other purchases deferring till
Yep.
next year.
Yep,
So
no,
I'll
that's
move that
fine.
there,
And I'll double check
Tentatively.
on the,
legality
we
of
should
it.
know a little more on, in regards to that we can use that same machine through 2024.
That'd be great,
I'm pretty sure it was said that we could, but let me double check on that.
okay,
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah, the other, I
I
was
think
looking.
the rest of your stuff is lean,
I know, I was looking, and like I said, it's an election year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
it's a 4-year election year, so, just between
Yeah.
absentee ballot requests, the additional postage and,
yep,
manpower and everything else, quite honestly,
no,
in regards.
you are, I just thought that the salary might work, but it makes sense that it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if we need to reallocate it, let me put some numbers together and I can move just some out of the full-time to the part-time if that's what
One
we should do.
area would be in health insurance, 'cause she went,
Yeah, that's true,
so there's a little bit there,
Good,
but
little
it's not
bit,
enough
okay.
I think we're still looking for bigger.
bigger
Yeah.
items.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Thank you, Ken.
thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Ken. Keats, you know what the hardware upgrades they're looking to do on the data processing line to employee is?
And how much is in there?
5,000?
Basically, I think there's, with the new, team we're bringing in, I think there was some new computers and he had a question about, the server.
Yeah, there was a question about the Barracuda.
Yeah, so it's kind of a holding number.
Okay.
Let me just go back to that health insurance. So that 30,000 in that full-time line,
That's Kim's.
that's Kim's and
And an
a
individual.
single, what's the single rate?
About, it's at 10,000 now with dental.
Okay, so it says 10,917. So, I mean, a quarter, that's not nothing.
Yep.
I know we talked about this a while back, but do we have to do the reevaluation of the town properties for $30,000 this year?
Yeah.
I was just looking at that too.
Yep, that is.
I thought that was the answer, is that?
Yeah. That is a
Yeah, I was
non-negotiable.
looking, because last year planning board had a big chunk for that mapping.
Right. That's getting spent this year, yeah.
Okay. I would suggest the next, let's see, what other? We already cut legal.
Did we look at rec?
We have not done rec yet.
ZBA budget, whopping $1,800.
What about the, what was the energy commission?
Energy
committee.
committee.
Cut
that
that budget.
Well, the funny thing is, Gabrielle even said, if you need it to be pared down a little bit, we could probably bring our own snacks to the meetings or something. That's the spirit.
You know what's not in town buildings, which I don't know why it's not there, is the 28,000 to put the vapor seal up there. Whatever happened, where did that go?
It should be there.
I don't see it in the town budget, town building, government building budget.
How much is it?
28? Unless it's in some other line, I don't. So that's just a question, that may be a plus,
Yeah.
if it's something that, so anyway, hold that thought, let's keep going.
Yeah.
On the Parks and Rec, are the part-time summer, that's salary
Yeah,
quite a
that's-
bit?
That's,
Swimming instructor.
What page go on? Oh, there it is. Summer,
Oh,
part-time
well.
is counselors, and I think swim is its own thing,
Oh,
isn't
that's
it?
right.
swim is a
Yeah.
something.
The part-time is the counselors for the
Camp programs.
Friday trips, and then the 2 weeks,
At the end of the season.
the week at the beginning and week at the end of the season.
Oh, is that
yeah.
where it is, a week at the beginning?
Yeah, they're gonna do a week in June, and then the week after us in August now.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Standing.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be,
Did
Yeah,
they have
but
it fully
if she
funded
has
this
to
year?
cut, it might be one of those weeks.
Yeah, right.
well, yes, but they don't know that that's all gonna come
Alright.
through again. They paid their portion, and then some other counselors were paid through the Brett budget.
Oh,
And these part-time slots are not including that Brett money. So there are other people who are working that program that are not represented on this.
Yeah, so, do we know what a week of that camp is?
I mean, what I would do is give Emily a target number to cut,
Yeah,
and then let her figure out
Yeah.
how to do that.
yeah.
Cause I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's in all different lines.
Yeah, right.
I guess once we get down to a certain level, we could say, okay, for all the rest of the departments, have the department heads, hey, can you cut
Yeah.
X percent or X dollars?
And so so how much have we cut so far?
I lost my,
We need a couple
So
hundred thousand
230.
more, I think.
Keats, on the trips for buses.
360.
It's $11,000 in the rec for bus trips, but it says it's Title I funded, so will that come out?
Again, I don't know enough about Emily's budget to,
Okay.
yeah. I think there's revenue offsets to a bunch of them, but, and I'm not sure if she's having the Title I money paid directly to the bus company or not, so. So it may be that those costs are above and beyond the 144.
Yeah.
We just don't see it. So So 360, so, okay, so there's 400 left, right? Hello, my darling. There's 400,000 left.
To be
But
cut.
that's about what, 8% of 5.4, what is that? Well, 540 is 10%, so yeah, it's probably like 7%.
And that's also before we don't know what we'll have in the unassigned fund balance.
Right, so you haven't used any of the unassigned fund, theoretically.
Yeah.
So you could say we're gonna pay for the articulating loader with the leftover bridge money. And that's now in the unassigned fund balance, for example. And you could take 250 out by assigning the unassigned fund balance to pay for the articulating loader, for example.
We're at,
And that would get us down to like a
To a reasonable cut.
$200,000 increase in budget, though.
Right.
Which isn't all that bad.
But you could
More than
also,
we
well, no,
want.
I think you still wanna try and cut, you wanna get to the 761, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ideally, yes, but
I do, but I'm kidding.
I'd
we're
rather
at
go minus.
354,
but-
500 right now.
354, 500.
Yeah.
I mean, and we can also just chop away at it more and see what happens.
That's a combination of
Deferring,
deferring and budget
yeah.
cuts.
So that defers half of the fire to next year. So 188 gets deferred next year.
20 in the
20.
trash compactor.
20 in the trash compactor gets, and the 7
7
for the
for the
voting
voting.
machine gets deferred next year. So those all represent cuts for
That's
this year.
215 of it.
That we put into the CIP, or not CIP necessarily,
No.
but that we put into the next year's budget.
Into the
that
next
we
year's
have
budget.
to do.
Yeah.
So we also have to
Right.
think of those impacts, and there's going to be more stuff come up for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I do
that's
think,
how what CIP made me believe anyway.
Oh no, it always does. It's like you've got a heavy year, and then it's because people don't put it down until they have to put it down. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so you're at 354, 500. Let's say you decided, just for example, to pay for the articulating loader with unassigned fund balance. Then you would be you'd be at 604. So then you've got like 160 left, which is some percent of the total budget. You tell everybody to cut that percent. Maybe not fire, police, and highway because they've
Yeah,
already
we've already
checked
done
for
that.
the team.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you cut out? If you take out fire, police, and highway, how do you cut 160,000 out of the other budgets?
Because let's just hang on. Okay, so if you say that you're 4 million, and then you take out the
And could we also?
2/3 of the budget left. I think.
then you have 3.4 million. So 160,000, 1, 2, 3, divided by is about 4.7%.
Funny how that works.
Kind of worked.
Yeah.
That was.
So if we
Okay.
do 5%, we'd be in the minus.
Right in there.
Or you probably,
Roll
who
it and go.
knows? Because somebody's gonna come back and argue with it, that they can't cut that, so yeah. It's really hard to cut, like Glenn's budget's almost impossible to cut.
Yeah.
The one thing about Glenn's budget is that, as hiring
And
waxes
we
and wanes,
also
there's
did.
little room in the part-time number.
We also put. Well, the thing is, with the fire department, we really didn't cut a lot necessarily. We just pushed it off. They're still gonna get they're still gonna get the fire truck.
Did you cut from the actual operating?
We did. We cut what, $10,000 out of the part-time budget.
That's
And
what
that
it
was
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
think
I
so.
would maybe ask them to,
Yeah.
sorry, Richard.
And maybe there's room for 5,000 more somewhere in the highway department, or 10,000 more.
Seems like.
So, and then maybe there's, that's my feeling.
So
But
we
I'm
have
putting
to-
my,
You don't have to finish budget cutting tonight.
No, but,
Because there's always,
so these cuts that we are proposing, do we have to get the department heads back in here again, or can we just talk to them
I
on the
would think
phone?
the liaisons could each
Yeah,
reach
yeah.
out to your,
Who am I?
Highway.
No, well, then we
Dude.
switch.
We did. You've still
No,
been
you
doing
stayed
highway.
with
You can
it.
switch back if you want.
What?
You
Oh,
stayed
you're
with
highway
it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I switched to
Oh,
fire.
you are?
Yeah, we switched fire and highway.
Wait, so now I'm hot fire?
Yeah.
I'll switch back.
Good job, Good job.
Okay.
I'll pick my battles. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't.
It makes sense why you're talking to Richard so much.
I mean,
What?
They're both Richards.
They're both
Yeah.
Richards, that's right. That's the point.
No, I can do wood fire if that's.
so
the
who's talking to
department.
fire and who's talking
Yeah.
to road?
I can talk to fire if you want me to.
Okay.
I
I
talk
mean,
to Richard
fire
on a
so
regular
far
basis.
is only,
Well,
He's probably nicer to me because I'm not family.
the fire's what we're gonna talk to him about doing, plus a few little cuts.
Yeah, they're still getting everything. They pretty much. They're
Yeah.
nothing's. It's not like they're not getting the fire truck. It's not like we're all like, well, we're not doing the fire truck,
How about
it's
this?
just being.
which is
tried.
what we could do.
I'll do a quick, I'll just do a quick spreadsheet with the cuts, and I'll send it out to everybody tomorrow, so you have it to deal with your,
Yeah.
so you can see which line items these were taken out of.
Wouldn't
I
it
need
make
to get-
sense for me to just do it to the budget?
Do you have it written down on there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that it's gotta be highlighted, so we know to say, oh, line
Yeah.
whatever.
So we don't. screw
I'm
up.
gonna be updating this anyway.
Yeah,
It's easy for me
And
to then.
make a separate
Again,
one,
isn't the-
yeah, okay,
I
great.
thought the fire awards were the ones that determined the fire department's budget. I didn't think.
I
they
believe they are, but you are the ones who raised the money for that, so I
Yeah, but I
guess
mean,
it's a
do we have to-
conversation.
Do you have to talk to the fire wards or the chief?
Well, I think I'd probably talk
Talk
to.
to
I'd probably talk to Jim.
Jim,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't think the select board had, or maybe we just don't have any say over how they spend the money that they get.
that, I don't think
But-
we get to say,
But you can ask on behalf of the town's
Yeah.
voting population.
we're still
And if they
raising the
don't
money
like
for
it,
it.
I'll
Yeah.
get up at town meeting and as a citizen and
Yeah.
ask to cut 100,000 out of their budget.
I don't think they're gonna have a problem.
It's been
Good.
done in the past.
Anybody could.
No, I know.
We should mix up town meeting like the old days. Just get
Um,
up and cut the police department in a hole.
That'd be a little more drinking
Yeah. Before, yeah.
Um,
I have an observation, and it's not a lot of money, but it's, and I've been thinking about it since thinking about what Ed shared a couple of weeks ago about the county budget and how much of that budget is for outside agencies. I believe that when outside agencies like Outing Club or Bear Camp Center or Meals on Wheels or whatever, you have to fill out this form that we fill out, and the form has some data points on it. You have to show how many people are served, how do you serve them, how do you know that you're serving people, blah, blah, blah. So that's great. Keats collects that. I'm assuming Keats looks at it, but you used to have to come in and present.
Sandwich makes you do that too.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bring that up is that I know personally, and my numbers are actually wrong on here, Keats, because you used last year's and I gave you new numbers this year. Just saying. I only just turned my paper in, so.
I like that idea.
But I think, like, I actually spent hours calculating, like, counting up Tamworth kids, counting up my data from diners, doing the math, figuring it out. And one of my numbers went up this year, and one of my numbers went down. I'm looking at everybody else's numbers, and they're really pretty static since, like, 2021. So, I don't know how people configure their data. I don't know if they think this is what I can get, this is what we've always gotten. I know it's easy to say, well, I'm just gonna get $5,000 every year and just build it into your budget that you know you're gonna get it from the town. But I don't think that's really the intent of the mechanism. And if nothing else, it would be good for people, it'd be good for us to know how people are serving the town.
So, yeah, I mean, to that point, we should talk through the list and see who you want to invite in to speak with. FYI, it's really interesting to look at other towns' budgets and see how they handle. Sandwich has something like 30,000 total in that line, where we have 170. Now, we have a very different population.
Yeah.
And all of these services are pretty essential
Yeah.
to the people who are struggling. However, so do you want all of them invited in, some of them?
I
I don't
think
think we
it-
had to see all of them.
Well, I was going to say the opposite,
Oh.
only because I think that picking and choosing sets a precedent for us or for future boards to target,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
I'd invite them all, don't tell them they have to come, but we'd like you to come if you,
There's some that
if you
really
can or
should come.
something.
Yeah.
And pick one meeting or two and have a light agenda if it's one. And, there'll be,
And, or say, and if you really can't come and you don't have a representative because you're a small agency or whatever,
Yeah.
then we would like like a detailed explanation of your, beyond the whatever numbers you filled out, like, why are you essential to Tamworth right now? And how have you had your numbers flatlined for all these years? I mean, the economy's changed hugely and these numbers haven't changed. So it's like a weird process to me. And I just know as a person seeking these funds, like I put a lot of time into making sure that the request was as valid as I could make it.
What were your numbers? Well, never mind, I'll look at it.
11 for camp and 5 for meals.
you can always save $1,000.
So- Let's jump back to, so we're done with budgeting for now, budget cutting.
So we're,
Right.
just to close it out, I'm gonna update the budget, I'm gonna have a little list of the suggested changes, and each of the liaisons are gonna go talk to their
Go talk to her,
respective-
call, I'm doing this.
whatever you wanna do.
However,
I'm not doing it face to face.
text them.
Outside of arm reach.
And that gets us a
I'll try to
good way there.
catch him when
Not
I know
all
he doesn't
the
have
way.
service, so I can just leave a message.
Yeah.
Okay,
Kim always answers the phone.
Hopefully.
to be continued then.
Rich never does.
Moving back to tax rate setting. So now seeing that next year we are pretty much going to be screwed on the budget, I think that we don't use any more of the unassigned fund balance this year. But we could use
But we don't
another
know if we're
40,000.
screwed on the budget for next year because we don't know what we can cut from next year because the CIP doesn't have any data going with that. We could cut out all of 2025 from the CIP, we don't know.
I think that's
I'm-
wishful thinking.
I'm only being half,
Let's use 250,000 and then we just see
I-
what happens.
yeah.
I also think with the state of the world, I don't know.
They say 5 to 17. I say we go right down to 5%.
You pay everybody a refund.
Yeah, right.
And
Send
we up
checks
the
in
selectmen's
mail.
budget a little bit.
Do we know what other towns, and it's hard to compare us to Sandwich because you said it's a completely different demographic with different
I
needs,
think
but
last year we had those numbers, but I
of
can't
what
remember.
they spend of their unassigned fund balance?
Or at least what their
Oh.
range was.
It's so different, and the thing is that some towns don't have as solid a starting point as we do.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
it's really important to maintain it because a lot of towns have to then borrow money
Just to,
right before the tax
Right.
comes in.
Right.
So it's a wonderful
Yeah.
thing that our 4 boards,
Yeah,
the boards that came before you all,
accumulated that.
accumulated it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so we want to be careful to keep it
yeah.
at some high level.
Mhm.
Especially
Be like
with the crazy world.
Louis the 16th.
I don't know where you're going to need it.
I think that we either stay where we're at or
I mean with the 125.
with the 125, 750 or go try to cut another 10 cents per thousand and go up like 40, use 40,000 more or 40, whatever. 40,250 is it?
Yeah.
Bring us to what percentage?
Which would
That sheet.
maybe reduce us to like it would be less than 1% of the
Yeah.
unassigned fund balance.
Yeah.
Be like 0.5%.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Speak with him.
Or
So,
we leave it and next year we say, geez, we should have spent more, so we're gonna spend it all this year.
so you're saying,
I think that's my two. That's what I've been thinking about. Those are what I came up with. I mean, we could use more. We could also use less. We could, if anybody else has a.
so that brings it up to 166, is that what you said? If you do the 125 plus the 40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Is 4250.
I mean, yeah, and again, it's a rationale of, so what is the right amount?
Yeah.
And the only reason I put in the $7.29 as the municipal tax rate
Right.
is because that in real terms is what we spent last year. 707 inflation, with a 3.2% inflation is 729.
Mhm.
That's what we spent in the municipal budget
Portion,
last year.
yeah.
And I know we can't control any other budgets, but we can control the overall tax rate by doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I'd be in favor of going up another 40,000 on the,
Well, I hope we're doing the right thing. I mean, 40,000 isn't gonna make a world of difference next year anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's
Yeah.
gonna make or break us, but.
I mean, so that's 165 or whatever.
Yeah, 166.
Don't forget, we also spent 519 already at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do we have an idea? We probably don't yet. This is way too far out to know what the unassigned fund bill.
So that
We
brings
won't
us
have
to
the
525.
next year. We won't have another transfer station. Like
In
Is ours is the
2024 we do.
we still
there's-
do?
Yeah, it's the
okay.
third year.
Oh.
22, 23, 24.
Okay,
This is,
25 we
this is only
don't.
the second year?
I thought it was the third big
me
one.
too. But I
Oh no, 24.
yes,
It's the third year.
Next year.
Right. Wait,
22, 23, 24.
So, yeah, next fall, we won't have to be thinking about it.
Next fall, when we're doing the 25 budget, it will not be in there. And
Right.
that's a big chunk of money.
It is.
There's also ARPA funds that you could decide to spend. There's 70,000 left.
70,000 left there.
You could offset, I'm just gonna use the articulating loader, Lexington. For example,
Yeah.
that's a big chunk of money you could offset.
Is there a reason we wouldn't?
It has to go somewhere.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you can save it for emergency funding too, but it does actually have to be, in
26.
contract by the end of 24
Well, end of
and
24
spent by
contracted.
26.
Oh,
So
yeah,
next year it has to be,
gotta figure it
ideally you
out.
should spend it.
yeah.
maybe,
So what is that, 70?
Maybe we
Yeah.
leave ARPA alone this year, and then next year, if we're gonna have a crazy budget, maybe that's another way to come up with 70,000
Yeah.
potentially.
Or that brings us to 590, 500,
What?
If you use it this year.
if you use it this year.
I wouldn't use it this year.
I'm just doing the math.
You're for 24.
Yeah.
Like use it to in the 24 taxes, not
Yeah.
not like we're using it for. The
Not
unassigned
this
funds.
year,
Yeah.
use it in 24.
Yeah.
No,
she's saying
I'm using it
this
for
year.
the, I'm looking at the
She's saying if we
24
used it.
budget cuts. I'm
Uh-huh.
saying, if we
Put it
lock
toward
it,
it, yes.
if we put it toward that, that brings us down to $590,500 that we've massaged out today.
How did you get to 590?
Just an example.
Yeah.
I did the.
We were at
I
354.
did the unassigned fund balance amount.
Oh.
Yeah, to 166.
354,
or whatever.
500.
But the unassigned fund balance doesn't go toward that. It goes. We just went over this earlier.
There's two different things. So we're talking, right at the moment, we're talking tax rate, right? So the question is, do you want to use the unassigned fund balance to reduce taxes this year? When we do the budget next year, we could use 250,000 of the unassigned fund balance or any other amount, but that's a separate discussion than the tax rate number.
So the tax rate doesn't go toward that.
Tax rate we're working on right now is money we've already spent.
Right.
Yes.
We're
Oh, you're
paying-
talking about for December.
Yeah, December
Got
tax
it.
bill. That's the
Yes.
tax rate.
This is
we're
what I
working on.
learned
Okay.
earlier. I was
Got it,
able to
got
see
Or
that.
remembered, you knew it.
Got me
So,
We
It's
actually,
fun. Each year
I
you have
actually
to,
wish
like,
we did this
read-
more than like
know.
1
Yeah,
month a
because you never
year.
get good at it.
Yeah.
You do it once a year.
Yeah.
in 30 years, I guarantee I'll have it down.
You gonna run for re-election? Is that what you're saying?
10 times
He's
apparently.
going for a record.
Okay, so without that, we're at 424.5 if we have the 70,000 of ARPA. Just saying, if we put ARPA.
And if we, the more we wait on opera, the more we have to make sure when we spend it, it's on something quick, because there's a deadline for expenditure.
Right.
Well, and that's why the articulated loader is not a bad idea because
Because we know it's
we
happening.
know we're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, back to tax rate
Yep.
setting.
So, do we want to stay at 120?
I don't.
He wants to go to 160.
I want to go to 160.
160.
65 or whatever.
Yeah,
166.
66.
That's a nice number.
40,000 more than what you've got down here.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
And that would offset the taxes by another 10 cents
Yeah.
per thousand.
So I mean, then we're up to close to 700,000 that we're using.
Which is 250 less than last year.
Yeah.
Still a lot,
So-
but yeah.
It's a lot, but it's in line with what we did last year.
And we gotta, I mean, you're spending the money at some point, whether you wait and do
Yeah.
it next year, maybe. I mean, obviously you want to have as even
Yeah.
Yeah.
taxes as you can.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
want to have big jumps, so hopefully next year. But $40,000, it's not like, I think if we spent
where is it?
300,000 instead of 166, that would be
Yeah. The
dramatic.
So
responsibility.
then we'd be at, or for this number would be 719.
Which bottom one?
Is
But
that
my feeling also is
if we
that
buy another 10 cents?
yep, the more budget we try to cut, I'm looking in the future when we set our tax rate next year, the less unassigned fund balance we're going to be looking at.
Did you say 761? It goes to 719.
Yeah. You're buying, you're going 761, 10 cents is 40,000, so call it 720, so it's 40
Yeah, 'cause it was
cents.
729.
Yeah.
And 4 times 40,000 is 160-ish, right?
Okay. So what does that turn that bottom line to?
That's
So,
very good.
719. 1463.
Yeah,
You know,
what does that bring to?
25,
the
23.
one thing I would just play devil's advocate on is by reducing it, I mean, it's 40,000, so it's not that big a deal, but reducing it in this year, you might be paying for it next year. You know, it's,
We're going to say that
again,
every
it's
year.
the even thing.
We're going to say it every year because
It's always gonna be too much.
municipal spending is a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get the budget down? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always wants to go up.
I know.
I wonder if do any communities have like a municipal grant committee?
Probably. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying that like if you look through this budget, there are a fair number of things in there that are grant eligible. It just takes people. I mean, and grant writing for people who don't know it, like T6 gone through this, like the learning curve is like this, but once you get into that groove, you can do a lot more. And we're a member of LRPC, and one of the things that they provide to members is grant writing support and advice for like big grants. So it just seems like it's something we don't take advantage of.
Maybe
And
I should go meet with their grant team and
yeah.
just look at the budget with them and say, what do you think?
I mean, I'm just saying it's too late. We can't do it for this
Yeah, right.
for this year, but it just seems like we keep on saying next year is going to be miserable, next year is going to be miserable, and it's probably true. But it's what can we do to increase revenue?
Yeah, that's
the bottom line.
I mean, look what fire did. They won a grant for the
Yeah.
equipment, which we would have had to raise tax money for.
Yep.
So yay them. You know, it's that kind of money that.
yeah.
Yeah. But it just needs a group who is just going to sit here and squirrel away at those grants on a pretty regular basis,
And the
so that
trouble
they
is, a
get
lot of
good
them
at
are
it.
very specific, like, it takes somebody in the fire department to know those fire department
Right.
grants, and that's why it's hard to do generically.
Yeah, but the New Hampshire Municipal Association, if you spend time on their website looking at funding, there's a lot of information that points you in a lot of directions, and then you can start getting their newsletters. And I'm sure that that's one way that, I'm sure they get it like through the fire association. And if you let the department heads know, hey, when you get your newsletters from your associations, shoot them to the grant committee, and you have to build up the systems to make it work. But
So,
and it's not the end all, but if you can write $200,000, $300,000 of grants a year, that'd be great.
That's a lot.
um,
Tax rate.
so do we want to go with 166?
Yes, I make a motion to set the tax rate at, using the
Okay.
166 number, so the tax rate would be $25.23.
Is that what it comes to?
But if you're talking about 719, we need a second. You can vote it down.
Okay, I need to hear the motion again. Prentice?
I'd say, do we have to state what the tax rate is, or should we wait for the math to come later? We're just deciding on how much to use of the unassigned fund balance.
I think we're trying to set
Do you
the
need
rate.
to
we're
do
gonna
some
set
other
the-
I
math
think you
behind
gotta
it?
set it.
Okay.
So,
I rescind my motion while we figure out what we're doing.
okay, so this,
So it'd be 166.
166.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think
Which changed the municipal rate to
if you
719.
do, I make a motion to set the tax rate at
Okay, hang on. So it's
25 point.
2-3.
it's
two.
this tax rate.
Wow, that didn't make much of a difference.
Nope.
I know.
And are you deciding what the net required tax effort is? I think
On
that's what you're,
$2 million
I was
would
just
be
wondering if that's what the motion
$50,000.
is.
Mm-hmm. It's the amount to use, it's a two-part motion. How much to use from the unassigned fund balance and what will the resulting rate be?
5427085. My brain is coming to a halting stop. Minus 166 equals plus 86,400 plus. Now, there's one other thing that I just want to point out here. That's got to be wrong.
Do you remember what this was?
Let me do that again.
Devoted uses,
Yeah.
yeah. 150 was the expendable trust that we didn't spend.
Oh,
50 was a transfer station, 232 is a bridge, and 50 is a fire truck reserve.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That's up fast.
Yeah.
All those
Darn
50s.
fire trucks, they're expensive.
Okay, I'm like, my brain isn't functioning.
What are you trying to figure out?
I'm trying to figure out what the net required tax effort is.
Where's that
So
listed?
this piece of paper here, basically, we're gonna minus, I know an easier way to do it, never mind, 293557 minus 4250. Okay, it is 2895327.
You just subtracted 40, 20, 50 from it, right?
Yep, from the bottom number.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so
What is it?
$2,895,327,
Okay.
which results in a tax rate of.
25, 20.
Can I take
25, 23.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. 2523. And it was 25. Where's the tax rate?
Well, it says 25.33 on this, but we had 25.40 on the sheet you gave us. It's 25.40 on this. Okay, so that goes down to 719, and that's 25.23. Okay.
Total tax rate 2533. And I had 2540. Okay. It's 188 change. So, okay. So what's the net? I'm sorry. I'm just like hit a wall.
What's the net what? Which net?
What's the final tax rate? If it's
25.23.
I know.
25, 23.
If we just add this little column of highlighted,
Okay, 2533.
25.23.
No, that. Oh, because I'd already put the 125 in.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Got it.
Ready for
is
the
that
motion?
top,
Yep.
that top number
Okay.
brought down from
Prentice
751
motion
down to
I'm gonna change my motion because now it's clear. Because it's two-part motion. I make a motion to use 166,000 from the unassigned fund balance.
offset. Offset taxes.
To offset the net required tax effort.
Net, yep,
For a total effort of.
$25.23.
Actually, I was going to put in the total.
Municipal,
The total tax effort required for us to. The
$2,895,322, you know what I'm saying, $2,895,327.
Resulting in a tax rate of
$25.23.
$25.23. Okay.
Can you imagine if we started this an hour later? Pudding for a brain.
My brain is now pudding, I'm afraid.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so Robert seconded.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no. We are now moving on to administrator report.
Oh,
Too
come
late.
on.
That time has passed.
If this
Okay.
were a work session, we wouldn't have to do anything else. We just go.
The bank balance is $2,389,907. I have been working on the budget.
And explaining tax rate setting to Emery.
Yeah, learning all about that stuff. So,
Yeah, you did a good job.
that's all I got.
Yep.
Okay,
Me?
sign,
Yeah.
no, signature.
Well,
Bank balance.
On to the signature file. Oh, did you?
No, you just did, she just said the bank balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I did.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for October 26th, 2023.
Second,
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice,
Roberts,
yes.
yes. 5 yes. 0 no. I make a motion to approve the annual assessing services for 1/1/24 through 12/31/28 from Rob Wood and Associates LLC, and I may also approve the 2024 cyclical update for 1/1/24 through 12/31/24 from Rob Wood and Associates LLC.
Didn't we vote on those last week?
You voted to approve them, you just have to sign them. Sorry, I was collecting stuff.
Okay, I
You're
rescind my
fine.
motion.
It's okay, it's
You
alright.
can do it
It's
twice.
not gonna hurt to.
Okay,
At least I remembered something.
we voted on it though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we're good. I make a motion to appoint Hillary Mangan as the deputy town clerk tax collector.
Didn't we already vote on that too? Because I recused
It's
myself.
just the appointment form.
Yep.
So we're just signing.
Yep.
And you
Wow.
also voted on the Green Mountain Conservation Group
That's
letter.
true.
Okay.
Just gotta sign.
I make a motion to approve the accounts payable for the amount of $335,641.44. And I also rescind my previous motion.
Second,
Okay.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve. I do
Cash
not.
used.
The cash used to date is $9,664,096.68. Select board update with Richard.
Carl and I had a good meeting this morning with Melanie from the Friends of the Townhouse. One thing she did point out in the budget, they do need their landline for the fire alarm. So
Yeah.
we can't cancel the phone line there.
That was a good point.
We
That's,
probably still can at the rec office though, I think.
Unless there's a fire alarm there.
I don't think so.
It's kind of
Sure
a,
there's
it's
probably
not such a lot of wood in that building either, so even if it burns down, you won't know. And I think that's the only meeting I had since last meeting. That's all I got.
And he covered it for me.
perfect.
So,
Steve.
Nothing from me.
all right.
I did just send an email to Anna Cole, our attorney that deals with HR stuff, just to check in on the personnel policy that they're reviewing, and I've not heard back from her yet.
My turn.
It is.
So many things. I'm going on vacation next week. That's my select board
Whoa.
update.
So you're not-
That's
you're
right.
not here next
Vacation.
week?
Deer season
Nope,
starts
not gonna be
next
here
week.
next week.
Oh, there's no meeting next week.
Yeah, and then the following week I'll be
Oh.
here.
Okay,
And I just thought.
So we're having a meeting next week.
well, one thing on the tax rate setting.
You need some type of
Now what
signature.
I do is I report this back to the Department of Revenue and they approve something and then you all need to sign it. I don't know when.
Could you email it to me and I can sign it and then scan it and send it back? Is that possible?
I believe so.
Or
If
or
not,
is
it's
it
not
quorum
happening
good
next week.
enough?
Or is a quorum good enough? A quorum is good enough.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
We'll be around.
Don't need me.
we don't need you, but
But we,
I think
we,
we had it last year too.
we could
I
use a
think
little
I recall.
backstrap.
Yeah.
Come back.
Oh, I will have some.
Yeah, where's your favorite hunting spot that I'm definitely not gonna go take?
You can have all of
It's in
them.
Pennsylvania.
I already got my New Hampshire deer, so.
Okay.
You did?
And I thought of something that I should have covered in the Selectmen's update.
Okay.
I've been going through there's a code enforcement manual from the New Hampshire Municipal Association. It's an exciting read. I'm only like halfway through it and already learned a couple of important items.
Oh, good.
One is if the process as it's defined, quickly ends up in court, which is not a good thing. The only good thing about it is, if you prevail, your attorney's fees are automatically covered. So that's good.
By who?
They extract it from the person who lost.
But if you lose, you have to pay theirs.
I'll have to read up on that and see.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
In many cases, that might be blood from his town, but.
Yeah, understood. You may never get that money. But if they own land in town, I'm sure there could be a tax lien on it. But that's for somebody else to worry about. The other thing that was relevant is most people use what the law calls an informal enforcement process, where you call them first, or you send a letter saying, "Gee, we found this thing. Can you fix it in 30 days?" And there's a lot of back and forth. That's not the process as it exists. That is not it. Even though that's how most people do it, that's not how you're supposed to do it. The law doesn't say that's how it's done, unless you adopt another statute that allows for administrative enforcement actions. So, coming this town meeting, we probably need to adopt that, because even though most towns do it informally, they could be challenged on it if they didn't adopt the RSA, and they might lose because of this. They just never adopted the RSA that said they could have an informal process.
Do we know that we have it already?
I sent an email to Sheldon to ask him.
Yeah.
It would have to be cited in the warrant article for the floodplain ordinance, the groundwater protection ordinance, subdivision rules and regs. So I'm guessing it wasn't, but I need to look back at least the groundwater protection.
But could you introduce a warrant article that would amend
Yes.
that?
We don't have. We can be a separate adoption. We just need to adopt this RSA for administrative enforcement.
In town meeting?
Right. So that's an article we need to make sure gets done, so that our
Yeah, let's not forget.
informal processes are.
He needs to work with me on it. It's
Are-
not like I'm gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be easy.
Okay.
But that was an important, lesson to be learned. And
So that lets us be more
informal.
educational,
Right.
collaborative.
But in the end, if somebody doesn't comply and you finally have to take them to court, we will have done the right process.
Right.
And one thing I'm remembering now is we did not approve the job description and post it at the last meeting because we were going to look at the hourly rates. If you remember from the last meeting,
Yep.
for the
Oh,
code
yeah.
enforcement agent.
Yeah.
So Keats looked at the rates and they're all way higher than anybody thought they'd be. They're all, the lowest one is $30 an hour.
It's 30 to 48.
Is that in our budget?
No. But what I saw is, I did a quick search of all the towns that Keats got the dollars for. They're all building inspectors.
Yeah.
So
It's a bigger
that's
job.
that's a bigger job. You need to know the building code.
Well, I did ask
So
for
they pay
code
them.
compliance.
Right.
And
And-
many of those towns do also have a code compliance officer, so
That it's right.
I don't know that
It's hard to say. I just know that when you look online, they all have a building inspector. So I
Yeah.
think it's one person doing it all in those towns. So I think we don't need to go, 30 to 34 hours. Now that would be a crazy amount in this town. So we had a job description, but we held off approving it because we're waiting on the dollar amount. I think the dollar amount in the job posting was 20 to 25, and maybe it makes sense to raise it to like 23 to 28 or 22 to 27, give a $5 range, but still less than 30 something. So do we want to approve that now, or technically it's not an agenda item? Should we wait for our next meeting to make it an agenda item?
I think we have to wait till our next meeting to make an agenda item.
Because it was on the last agenda. But we should make sure it's on the next one and approve it and post it then.
Okay, so what, add pay rate to agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, approving code compliance agent, approve the job description and post it.
Because we're adding the pay into that.
So no meeting next week. The week after I will be here, and then I'm also going to be gone the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay,
So
and I may have to notice a meeting with the four of you to get the tax
Yeah.
rate thing. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
any public
There's
input?
no,
Yes.
just looking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, this morning, the commissioners of the county voted officially the county budget. That's about 39 million, that's the operating budget. I encourage you again to watch the videotape that I sent Keats, just so you understand what's going on with the county. And also contact your local reps to make sure they understand your concern about the county budget. There are costs that they can't reel back. I mean, the healthcare costs, the jail prime care, it's quadrupled. So, but it's important that you understand it and make sure that your representatives understand that they should work hard to keep the line down.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other public input? Hearing no other public input.
Nobody was interested in
Motion to
making
adjourn.
tax rate setting.
Is it?
7:23.
At 7:23.
At 7:23.